Hey everyone, Dan here. We are just after market close on Wednesday, May 19th. Today we're going to do an updated look at IPOE and the short squeeze potential, and we'll of course have a look at the chart. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot. Let's jump right in. So IPOE has, in my opinion, been squeezing. So this was my call out on May 13th. So that was 6 days ago, when I first released this video and basically said, I think that the short squeeze might have begun after hours on that day. I still think that that was the case. And, I think that that's a bunch of the uptick that we're seeing. I wouldn't discount the idea that, there's a bunch of merger hype that is causing the uptick as well, but I think basically one is feeding the other, and it just happens to be really interesting timing. On the short interest side of things, IPOE is still here. It's one of the most shorted stocks currently. 31.95% of the float is shorted per this chart. If we go through some other info, this is the short volume broken out by day. So we see yesterday there was a huge uptick in short volume, and there was huge uptick in the volume overall, at least from the preceding 4 or 5 days. And last time the volume was around this same level as we saw yesterday, there was not nearly as much short volume. So still huge short volume coming into this one. So I wouldn't sort of let the, I remember, I don't know if anyone's been saying this about IPOE, but I remember back when, GameStop was squeezing and there was a lot of noise about like, oh, the shorts have all closed their positions. Like there's not really anything still being shorted that heavily. And I think that was shown to just not be true. So I don't know if there's similar chatter that is happening or may be happening soon about IPOE, but I would just keep an eye on things like the daily short volume to see if that is true or if that's just sort of like folks trying to get the price to back off so that they can hold on to their short positions. Per this table, this has the short float at 42%. So, those are within sort of like a stone's throw of each other, but this has it a much higher. I don't 100% know which has the more up-to-date information. So unfortunately, sometimes you're poking around with these things. Not every source gives their the date at which they're collecting that information and calculating it. So I don't 100% know, but just know that that's still very high short interest. And if we gauge it, like I said, on the volume that is time-stamped, still big upticks in the short volume. So basically what's been helping out with the squeeze, as I've been talking about, was IPOE's original ability to hold this like 1450 floor and not get thrown down further, and then to build off of that. And as the price stabilized, it was able to push it up. A huge factor to why a price just stabilizing causes a potential short squeeze to start is this factor over here. Sorry if this back and forth is nauseating. I don't know. But this is the up-to-date cost to borrow the shares to short, so the fee incurred by the short sellers. And we'll see here on this red line, it's still very high. It has come down a bit. So 73% has come down from 114% earlier in the week. And so it is on its way down, but I would just keep an eye and see if it has a dramatic drop. That would be something to probably watch closely. If the fee significantly comes down, then that may start to sort of like take some of the pressure off of folks to have to close their positions, thus initiating a squeeze. But in my opinion, this is still like very high and definitely high enough to keep the squeeze in play. You also see there the shares available to borrow is just 7,000. I mean, if you look back here when the fee was low, you would have millions of shares available. So as of this chart, 7,000 instead of millions. And still, like I said, in my opinion, a very high fee. So it's expensive for the short sellers to hang on to these borrowed shares, and if the price stabilizes, then they're just losing that fee, and they're not really profiting any gain from it. And obviously then if the price starts to tick up like we saw, that's then causing huge short selling positions needing to be closed out in order to sort of stop the bleeding on their end, and that is just then becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy and pushes the stock price up higher and higher. So you see there's this like interesting huge jump up at open, and then some pushback, and then establish sort of a floor. And same thing that we've seen basically for 3 days now. So today was sort of like the most up and down in terms of like it got pushed back the most of any of these days, and then had to claw back a bunch in the afternoon. So it wasn't quite as choppy as it was yesterday, but it definitely got the biggest percent pushback after open today. So I'd continue to sort of see, how that plays out as we go along. The price levels that I would pay attention to that you might want to look for, if we get a similar sort of situation tomorrow where the price jumps up and then it starts to push back, I would look for it to potentially get caught if it does get pushed down right here at about 1739, and maybe sort of establish a floor there to move off of. Otherwise, I think this is a very strong area as well, 1713, and then definitely this one here, if it needs it, around 1675. To the upside, I don't have anything in particular charted to the upside, because as the squeeze plays out, you can have these wild parabolic looking movements, so they're not really highly chart friendly. But I would just say, watch the momentum, watch the squeezing, and see what's happening. With the indicators, the RSI is still just about mid-range, so it's beautiful to be up such large percents day over day, and still have the RSI just be slightly above the mid-range. So that means there shouldn't be a lot of like pressure to sell just based on the fact that it's overbought. On the MACD, I would sort of look to see it's definitely just kind of chopping around in this zone, and it is in the positive area. It's over the baseline, and so bullish momentum dying down here, but we see that's from those huge pushes at the opening bell every day, and then a pushback, and so that's just what we continue to see. Interesting that today's pushback dropped the price down further, but the bearish momentum didn't get as high, so it'll be interesting to see sort of like how that plays out tomorrow and in the coming days. But in my opinion, the squeeze is still very much in play, especially if the price continues to stay above 17, and if we can push it toward 18, then I think you're just going to see additional dominoes continue to fall day over day, and let's say green day over green day. You'll also see the volume was quite nice today. Bunch of volume right here at $17. The largest chunk of volume of the day. Average price 1709. And so this is like really good volume to be getting these pushes off of, sort of like a further indication that yes, a bunch of this volume could be coming in because of the hype around the SoFi merger, sort of the ticker symbol actually changing over, and I think they're then getting absorbed by the NASDAQ and moving off the NYSE. But I wouldn't discount the idea that a bunch of that volume is being generated by shorts being forced to close out positions that are just causing them to bleed high fees and no like real upside for them. All right, hopefully this made sense. I'm pretty tired today, so I'm trying to choose my words well, but hopefully this at least came across logically and made sense to you. Good luck if you're in this one. I obviously am in it, and looking forward to seeing how the week plays out. Well, no matter what you're trading, I wish you the best, and I will see you in the next video.